Well, good evening there. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Friday Briefing, and my name is Betty Kyalo. It is the third day of February 2017, and I trust that you've been having a great day. If not, well, you know it is in the next 1.5 hours. I'll try and make it a little bit better. So we'll be having, of course, conversations with Willis, the Wordmaster, straight from Kisumu County. You'll be seeing him shortly. But before then, let me introduce you to my guest anchor this evening. And you know him very, very well. Not a new face on Kenyan television, and tonight he's here on Friday Briefing. Welcome. Hi, Vimal.
Thank you. Hi.
All right, so say hi to our viewers.
Hi everyone. How are you?
All right, Vimal Shah, industrialist, CEO of Bidco. He's our guest anchor. So, of course, you can be a great CEO. We don't know if you can be a great guest anchor.
Try me.
Try me? That sounds very, very confident. So I'll be asking you a question later on.
Yeah.
How you've made your first million. Are you going to be sharing with us the secrets?
No problem. I have nothing to hide.
Nothing to hide. And then the other thing, what did you do with the money? Because most people buy fancy cars. I don't know if you bought the same.
No, we just plowed it back and built our business bigger.
All right. All right. So you can start tweeting me the questions that you want me to put across to him. #Friday Briefing, or tweet me at Betty M. Kyalo. You have a Twitter handle too.
Yes, I do. Vimal Africa.
All right. Vimal Africa is his Twitter handle. Interact with us. Would like to hear what you have to say about our conversation. So I mentioned we'll be having different conversations on Friday Briefing, and we'll be having Willis, the Wordmaster. He's going to be joining me live from Kisumu County. So you can also start to tweet me those difficult pronunciations. Do we say electoral, do we say pundit? So start tweeting me those difficult pronunciations. You can see Willis there. And apart from Willis, the Wordmaster, we'll also be speaking to Murimi Mwangi. He's going to be joining me live from Bomet, and he will be speaking to the governor there, and he's going to be telling us the preparations that are currently ongoing for that mega rally that the opposition has been talking about for this Saturday. All right, quite a packed bulletin as you see, but let's start with the highlights.
Has anybody stopped people from registering?
Numbers that do not qualify as identity card numbers have been used to register voters in parts of the country.
IEBC slams Jubilee for biased claims on the distribution of BVR kits. And a boost for opposition unity as the National Super Alliance is set to hold its maiden rally in Bomet.
We will endeavor to make sure that we reach a solution.
The mockery of the court, my lady. The mockery of the judiciary, my lady. And it will look like a circus after today.
Plus, it's yet another reprieve for doctors as Francis Atwoli stirs renewed mediation plans. Also coming up, the Anglican Church All Saints Cathedral marks 100 years of existence.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Our sign language interpreter is William Siller. Now, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission is condemning claims by Jubilee that opposition areas are being favored in the distribution of BVR kits. The IEBC was reacting to claims by the head of the Jubilee Party Secretariat, Raphael Tuju. Take a look.
Raphael Tuju says Jubilee has written a letter to IEBC to explain why some areas perceived to be opposition strongholds appear to have more kits compared to Jubilee areas. But in a quick response, IEBC has condemned Jubilee's claim of bias in BVR kit distribution. IEBC Communication Manager Andrew Limo says the distribution criteria was based on population and area. The Commission says Tuju's statement is ill-intentioned and meant to profile commissioners ethnically.
This is important because it is in the public domain that there is a credibility challenge for the IEBC because of the history of IEBC, and even the new team led by Mr. Chebukati and Mr. Chiloba has got credibility issues, especially in some of our strongholds, because they're seen to be coming from areas that are essentially CORD, NASA, ODM.
In recent days, the opposition has exposed flaws in the voter register during the ongoing process of massive voter registration. There have been cases of double registration. Even names of prominent leaders have been found to share national identification card numbers with ordinary citizens. Tuju says cases of double registration should be squarely blamed on the opposition for blocking a forensic audit of the polls register.
It's like throwing the IBC into the deep end, but tying their hands and their legs so that, and then asking them to swim. How can they possibly be able to clean the register when there's a court case by ODM, NASA stroke COD, stopping them from auditing that particular register? Indeed, my question is, why is the Chibukati Chiloba-led commission being soft on this?
Last week, IEBC admitted almost 129,000 persons were registered more than once. IEBC says cases of double registration are scattered across the country. The commission has confirmed to the Standard newspaper that 57,608 ID numbers used to register voters do not exist in their system, while 21,149 are cases of single ID numbers used to register more than once. The Commission says 52,987 ID numbers do exist in the National Registration Bureau records as genuine ID holders. Consequently, the Commission is in the process of publishing all the 74,752 names of double registrations in local dailies. Affected persons will have 10 days to rectify the records, failing which the names will be deleted from the polls register. Patrick Amimo, KTN News.
All right, so that story there by Patrick Amimo leads us to a big question this evening, and we'd like to hear your thoughts on it. We're asking you tonight, is Jubilee justified in attacking IEBC over the BVR kits? You've had the argument there by Rifle Tuju, and so we're asking you, is Jubilee justified in attacking IEBC over the BVR kits? Do tweet me at Betty M. Kyalo, or you can use the hashtag Friday Briefing, and I will be taking a look at your responses. You can also text me. The number is 22155, and I will be taking a look at your responses throughout the show tonight. All right, and let's now cross over to Bomet County, where the opposition National Super Alliance is set to hold its maiden public rally. And like I mentioned, our reporter Murimi Mwangi is now joining us from Bomet now with more on this. Murimi, thank you so much for joining us this evening on Friday Briefing. So what really is the significance of having this first mega rally in Bomet?
Good evening, Betty. Bomet County has been described in political circles as the heartbeat of the internal rebellion against the ruling Jubilee regime right here in the South Rift. And the man that has been leading that onslaught is none other than the leader of Chama Mashinani. He was elected as governor for Bomet in 2013 on the URP party ticket, but has since decamped to that particular party and will be hosting the leaders from the National Super Alliance here tomorrow. But Governor, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Yes. Does your attendance of NASA's function tomorrow confirm your formal entrance to the opposition outfit?
It confirms that we are ready to discuss with any Kenyan on how to improve the governance of this country. It really confirms that we want to be democratic. We want to put a rest to the primitive zoning of areas into property this, property that. We want to operate as Kenyans, and we only want to get a good country that has good governance.
Mm-hmm. So you're confirming that your party has not yet reached a final decision regarding whether you're joining NASA?
No, we have not. That decision will be made when we meet as party organs, and it will not be made, a decision will not be made by just one individual. That's myself. Mm-hmm. But one thing that is very clear is that we are ready to work with other Kenyans. We are ready to engage, and we would like to influence the direction of events in this country.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you say that discussions have been ongoing in the search for suitable political partners,
yes.
Are you talking with Jubilee? We know that you have fallen out with the Jubilee regime and have since formed your own party. Is there any discussion whatsoever with Jubilee?
No, we have no communication channels with Jubilee. Jubilee, a party in which we all win, that it was a coalition. The new Jubilee party is alien to us. We only know URP, and we also knew TNA. We voted for the TNA presidential candidate and URP members of parliament, including myself as a governor. We did not vote in Jubilee. We are yet to hear them. Every time they come here, they are a little bit abusive. and maybe that's why they are receiving rather unflattering reception all over the country.
Now, the NASA outfit has come up with a management committee of 12 members with a representation from the key founding parties of that outfit. And the main parties there have staked a claim for the presidency. In your negotiations with NASA, what are you seeking from that outfit?
We will be seeking good policies, respect for the ideals of the new constitution, fair distribution of resources, proper division of revenue when they are doing that every year. We will also be seeking that they respect resources that they find in various counties and that they actualize the dreams of Kenyans. We will be pushing more for better governance. We'll be pushing more for a fair country. We'll be pushing more for better policies and more consultation between the leadership and those that are being led.
Now, you are on record challenging President Uhuru Kenyatta to come in person and ask for the votes from the people of Bomet instead of using representatives and particularly his deputy to do that. In the event that that happens in the future, would you be willing to reconsider your position to fall out with the Jubilee regime?
I was just advising him in good faith, but I cannot be prodding him. I don't have to persuade him to come and ask for votes. It's up to him. If he needs them, it's up to him. That's the direction he must take. But I'm under no obligation to persuade him to come for the votes. I cannot also guarantee him votes. I was only advising him that the people he has been sending are busy abusing Kenyans everywhere. They are abusing Kenyans all the way in Narok, in Bomet. They are abusing them in Baringo, abusing them in Elgeyo Marakwet, abusing them in West Pokot, abusing them in Meru, abusing them in Mombasa, abusing them in Bungoma. If he thinks that is how to ask for votes, that's up to him. I have no obligation to continue advising him in that direction.
My very final question, Governor,
Yes.
how soon do we expect to know the final position of your party in relation to the association with NASA?
We have no timelines. We will continue to debate amongst ourselves. We will debate amongst the membership. We will continue to discuss, and we will also want to see what NASA has to offer, what others have to offer. We would like to see it, and we would also like to know who is that presidential candidate, and is he up to the task? Is he willing to listen to people? Is he offering anything better? We don't want Kenyans to continue agonizing. And one thing we must take a break from is tribalism and tribal mathematics for leadership in this country. We want to see character, and we also want to see proper policies. And we want to see people who will actually live up to the promise. Like, for example, we have a beef with Jubilee for promising 40% and giving us 12%. Even this year, they are busy reducing the division of revenue allocation by the CRA. Now they are bringing down to 290. Yet, actually, CRA was proposing much higher figures. We would like to see a government that respects the ordinary Kenyans, that respect people living in mashinani. And that is why we started Chama Cha Mashinani. We want Kenyans to once again look at the rural Kenya and understand that the vast majority of Kenyans are wallowing in poverty as of now. We have nothing to lose except our poverty. We have nothing to lose except abuses every weekend by Jubilee.
Thank you very much for your time, Governor. We will be following this up tomorrow from very early in the morning live on KTN News as well as KTN.
Welcome, and we guarantee that there will be peace in Bomet.
Thank you very much, Mr. Governor. Now, that has been Bomet Governor Isaac Ruto, of course, trying to unravel the connection between the Chama Cha Mashinani and the new National Super Alliance outfit of NASA, which is the formidable opposition wagon that is seeking to unseat the Jubilee regime come the August 8th general election. We shall be live from here tomorrow for the better part of the day and with timely updates across our bulletins during the day tomorrow. Back to you in studio.
All right, thank you very much, Marini Mwangi, for that. And like you mentioned, we'll be covering that rally for you here on KTN News. Let's now continue with our coverage. And for the second time in just 1 week, officials of the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union evaded a 1-month prison sentence meted by the Employment and Labour Relations Court. It was a reprieve that came from the most unlikely quarters. Well, KTN's News' Timothy Otieno has the details.
The 7 union officials would, for the first time since appearing before Lady Justice Helen Wasilwa 3 weeks ago, take to the docks, anticipating the start of a 4-week prison sentence for fighting for a cause that has seen healthcare in the country ail for the last 9 weeks. But an unexpected reprieve would accompany the doctors in court today.
My name is Francis Atwoli.
This man, Kotu Secretary General Francis Atwoli, would seek to be enjoined in the case alongside the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, and his request was simple.
Kindly give us more days, and I have asked specifically 7 days. We will endeavor to make sure that we reach a solution.
But it's a request that would receive swift opposition from the Council of Governors, who through their lawyer insisted that for too long the officials had taken the court system for a ride.
The mockery of the court, my lady. The mockery of the judiciary, my lady. And it will look like a circus after today, really. So we cannot also apprehend what you're going to rule. You have your ruling ready. In all honesty, I don't think there's been an industrial relations court like this one. You have been most indulgent. We are set.
Lady Justice Helen Wasilwa would, however, welcome the intervention by Kotu, directing that the union head a multi-agency negotiating team involving the Federation of Kenya Employers, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, the Council of Governors, the Office of the Attorney General, the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union, the Public Service Commission, and the Ministries of Labor and Finance.
If Mr. Atwoli will let me down, I'm extending this job to you. I'll proceed because the ruling is ready and deliver my ruling on Monday, the 13th of February.
Now we are going to put several authorities on the table for the doctors to see, and we are also going to rightly consult when we are with them together. And I'm sure positively after they have seen that, and we will compare with other organizations of similar nature.
The 7-day extension of the sentencing, allowing more time for negotiations, even as the doctors remained adamant that theirs was a battle with only one end in sight: the implementation of an agreement signed in 2013.
There is no greater deed to frustrate the doctor in the name of bringing sanity to the patient. The two are intertwined. And in the next 7 days, that is the message the public must be aware of.
The doctors' strike in its 61st day is the second longest industrial action taken by the country's medics since independence. So it's yet another reprieve for the doctors in the form of Kotu Secretary General Francis Atwoli, who promises that within 7 days he will do that which the courts and over 6 negotiation meetings have failed to do: move the doctors out of the streets and back to work. Timothy Otieno, KTN News.
Now, the All Saints Cathedral of the Anglican Church of Kenya has officially begun celebrations to mark 100 years of existence. The congregation marked the grand crossover in a special midnight prayer service that was attended by Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit and Nairobi County Governor Evans Kiderum. The church has lined up events in the year that will culminate in a grand service in November 2017.
Song and dance at the stroke of midnight is perhaps enough proof of just how elated the congregation gathered at the All Saints Cathedral was as they marked a century since the formation of the church. 100 years ago, in 1917, missionaries had the vision and resolve to build a national cathedral for the Anglican Church of Kenya that would outlive them for many generations on end. This thought would see congregants of the older generation pass over a torch, signifying the beginning of another century, with the youth tasked with upholding the core values the church has lived by.
Times have changed, but the advocacy role of this cathedral must remain strong, even when our own is at the helm of government. We do not massage people's egos here, but we bruise them so that they may seek the Lord.
Initially, the church was established to serve the European Anglicans, but after independence, the cathedral began to attract more African Anglicans with the consecration of the first Anglican bishop. The cathedral is registered under the National Museums of Kenya. The midnight church service signifies the beginning of the centenary celebration activities that will also see the launch of a strategic plan of the church, a service with death penalty prisoners in May, a service with Nairobi County on the 17th of September, and all this will culminate into a grand service on the 5th of November, where Queen Elizabeth II is expected to attend. Akisa Wandera, KTN News.
KANU-nominated Senator Zipporah Kitoni says she is retiring from active politics. Kitoni says she will, however, continue to support women and children in her private capacity.
Speaking in Cherangani, Trans Nzoia County, the veteran KANU politician and nominated Senator Dr. Zipporah Kitoni announced a retirement from active politics, but says she will remain an active KANU party member. Kitoni says she's leaving politics to give room to other people, especially the younger generation, so that they can demonstrate their leadership abilities in transforming the country.
Zipporah si mzee, mimi ni mzee kumshinda. Kwa hivyo hawezi kusema kwamba anatoka kwa siasa kwa ajili ya uzee. Aangalie bunge, kuna wazee wengine wengi na miaka mingi kumshinda yeye.
Nitakumbuka as a great women leader in the women movement, a very principled lady, my role model, my sister, a woman of faith, a woman who believes in prayer, a great mother, a great grandmother, a great businesswoman. She does what she believes in.
Tumetoka Beijing, tumetoka wapi, na we have fought a strong fight. Na sasa nafikiri wamama wameshaelewa their rights, and therefore I think I have done my work. And I think it is very important that you give other people a chance to also demonstrate what they can do. And for me, I think I've really served faithfully, and I'm happy that I have a good name that I have built over the years.
Na pia chair samani sana ya maendeleo, na ameniambia maendeleo ya wanawake kwa jumla wahubiri amani wakati huu wa siasa.
Dr. Kitoni says a motivation to join politics was the need to liberate women who had been relegated to second-class citizens by the society.
Sitawacha kabisa. I can serve in any other capacity as a consultant, especially on women issues, because women are in my heart and I have a passion for women. So I'm able to continue to serve for women in any other capacity, but in active, let me put it that way, politics, I think I want to step aside.
Kitoni has been active in politics since the era of Kenya's founding father Mzee Jomo Kenyatta to current President Uhuru Kenyatta.
You saw even in Kitale this morning, I have Kitoni Heights. That also needs me to see and work with the management that we have here. So I'm not going to be very idle. I will still be active. I'll still also play my golf. And therefore, for women, I will be there for them. So they should not be so scared that I'm leaving them. I'm not abandoning you women completely. I am with you and I'll stand by you.
In a statement delivered by Rift Valley KANU chairperson Jonathan B., Baringo Senator Gideon Moi hailed Kitoni as a fighter who has achieved in all the positions she served. Elvis Kosgei, KTN News, Cherangani area, Trans Nzoia County.
All right, so we want to take a break on Friday briefing, but remember that we have a big question. And tonight we're asking you, is Jubilee justified in attacking IEBC over the BVR kits? That's our Twitter poll or our big question tonight. And we are asking you, we'd like to hear your comments. Let me just sample a number of tweets here, quite a number coming through. Remember, you can use the hashtag Friday briefing or tweet me at Betty M. Kyalo, or you can also use the hashtag Friday briefing, and we'll be taking a look at your responses. So let me just do that right now. Mark Gatonto Jr., you say, yes, IEBC must come clean on the issues concerning voter registration. Rita Robert, you have a different view. You say that's trying to intimidate them. IEBC should be left to do its work independently. Gore Financial CIC, you say Jubilee Party through their Tuju are just creating a blame game to divert the minds of Kenyans. And quite a number of tweets coming through. So let's continue, keep them coming, and we'll be taking a look at them once we come back from this break. So we'll take a break here. Remember, my guest anchor, Vimal Shah, is already here in studio, and we'll be speaking to him. I'm seeing quite a number of questions coming through, and I'll be posing them to him. So we take that break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Friday Briefing. Thank you so much for staying with us. It's time now to get to know our guest anchor a little bit more before we see them read the news. And tonight, like I mentioned earlier on, we have Vimal Shah, who's the CEO of Bidco and a serious industrialist in this country. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Betty.
Did you at one point in your life know that you'd be reading news to Kenyans?
No. This is a surprise. You invited me, and it's a surprise. So.
Are you looking forward to it, though?
Yeah, it'll be fun.
How do you think you'll fare on a scale of 1 to 10?
Let people tell us.
Okay, fine. I will tell you first. I'm a very good teacher.
Fine.
All right, so first question, and I've seen quite a number of people, really wanting to know how you made your first million and at what age?
Well, I started this business with my father and my brother together about 31 years ago. And we invested a lot of money, but we borrowed from friends and, from family and from banks.
Friends were willing to give you money to invest in a company?
Yes.
You have really good friends.
Yes, it wasn't too much, but it was still
something.
Good help, yeah.
All right.
And when we made our first million, I think the toughest thing is making your first million. And thereafter, it gets easier.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Because you got to plow back, you got to put it back in, and then you start getting rewards, at least after 1 or 2 years. And we just plowed it all back. We just kept on plowing it back, and we haven't harvested. We're still planters.
You're still planting?
We're still planting, we're still continuing, we're still expanding.
So at what point will you start to harvest?
I don't think we're harvesters. We're actually looking for growth, and from a small plant, we've now grown into a bigger plant. We've grown into 3-4 countries now, and we expect to, keep growing.
All right, because, the reason I'm asking this is that, a number of young people, once they make the first million, they're thinking, okay, maybe I need a vacation finally, or maybe I need a brand new car, fancy thing, the fancy side of life. Yeah.
I think it's something that you should have, but have it later on after you're really solid and robust, and you know that you're going to have sustainability. But to start saying, I made my million, now let me go and spend it all across, you'll get a good car, but then you won't have fuel. So I think sustainability is first, and the rest just follows. And
so you mentioned that you started your company with your brother and your father. That was one of the questions that I had. Was it an inheritance that was handed over to you, and now you're taking the full mantle of it? Or, how did it grow to be where it is right now? How did Vimal Shah become Vimal Shah?
So this was started by 3 of us, and all 3 of us are still in the business today.
So it's from scratch?
From zero.
Okay.
We had nothing on the ground.
Right.
We had no business, no industry in the FMCG area.
Right.
And my father did have a clothing factory, Bidco clothing factory before that. But from when we went to FMCG, zero from scratch from day one. And we actually went and sold goods ourselves, drove trucks down to retailers, down to various places in Kenya. And initially it was difficult. It's not easy.
And it's still not, it's not easy to start anything right now.
I think it depends. Today, it is much more easier to start off and really get a lot more mileage, because now you've got the benefit of internet, you've got, availability of knowledge online, which was not there before. The speed of things have increased a lot. However, I think it just needs people to have a clear-cut goal and an idea of where do you want to really go. And you can't spread yourselves too thin.
Many young people, Vimal, have great ideas. I mean, you speak to young people in this country, and they have some of the best ideas if it's, in innovation. But the issue is always capital. How do you start? And you speak very many times to young people. What do you tell them? A young person who's watching right now, they want to start something, but the money is a problem. Is going to the bank to get some sort of financing the best option?
I think it depends on what your business plan is. First of all, a lot of people need to put down their business plan. They need to see what are the revenues, what are the costs, and how they're going to really make the business sustainable, number one. Number two, I don't think there's a shortage of capital. It's about pooling together and saying, come together.
Right.
A lot of young people want to do it themselves. They don't want to share their ideas. They want to get their financing themselves. And if they can't get it, they say, I'm stuck. If 4 or 5 friends had ideas, and if all of them put them together and says, here's our capital is the idea and the technology. There's enough capital available to say, fine, here they can give you venture capital, or they can give you funding to start that up. And you got to start small. We had the same issue. We started off with a big project,
right.
While in university, did a whole project to say, let's go around and tell the banks we need a lot of money.
Right.
And the banks advised us, hang on, start small, aim big, but start one step at a time.
Okay.
And that's important for young people today.
All right. Let's also talk about how you've been able to sustain your company all through the years. You mentioned 31 years. I mean, that is no mean feat. What is it that you're doing right?
I think first and foremost, it's being in the right sector that you want to be in, number one. Number two, being focused in what you want to do.
Right.
We're in FMCG. We could have easily gone into technology. We would have gone into real estate. We could have gone into, selling hardware, furniture, or in media. And we didn't. We said we'll stay focused, be in the business we're in, and become best in that. Again, looking at the customer and what your customer's needs are, changing yourself all the time. We had to change every year. Even now, we keep on changing and really having it a very agile situation. Today, with systems, with information systems, you can do a lot more. But I think the attitude is important, number one. Number two, a vision that's long-term. And again, aligning with your passion. When you align with your passion, you don't really have to work.
Really? How is that?
When
Can you say that you're doing what you've always wanted to do right now?
It's the difference between a have to. If my job was a have to and a wish to, the big difference.
Okay.
When it's a wish to or a want to, I want to do it, and therefore it's not work, it's fun. And you enjoy doing it. Whereas when it's a have to and you got to go to work on Monday morning, it's a tough job. And really people are slogging it out. Rather than that, find your passion, identify it and say, fine, I'm going to go with it, make it happen.
So when you're talking, it sounds like it's been a smooth ride all along. Like you found whatever you needed to do, that niche market for you at that time, and you went straight for it. Have you ever had days that, you don't want to wake up because things are just not working?
Obviously. I mean, it was a 4 or 5 years before we actually started the whole production that we had sleepless nights, right? Thinking about, are we on the right track? Are we doing the right thing? You have a very good plan. You have a good idea, and that's just out of university.
Yeah.
And going to banks and, all the letdowns, no, you can't do this, you can't do that, and nobody funded us. Even when I started off selling insurance, you go to people and say, hey, you need life insurance. They say, hey, I'm not going to die.
So you were selling insurance?
Yes. I was an agent for insurance, American life insurance.
How old were you at that time?
18.
Wow. So you started this thing early?
While I was in university.
Okay.
Yeah. Started looking at that, started looking at business. But you get, out of 100, you get 98 or 99 rejections. And you got to be adapting to that. So I said, forget it, it's not for me. We need to look at other things.
And then you found now the footing.
Yes, we said, let's go to value addition, because my father was in the cotton business and making garments. So we said, let's go backwards into cotton farming and the whole value chain. Put up a whole project together thinking that money would be available.
Yeah.
So the idea was there, but the execution was not able to, we're not able to do it because the capital was lacking. So we had to start small, aim big, and each one, we're still doing the same thing, same vision. But we had a clear-cut long-term goal.
So it's all about the goal.
So the goal was at that time to be in the full value chain of cotton and go right on from cotton farming up to processing into oils, animal feeds, the whole lot. We're doing it right now, and we're doing it across many countries.
So let's talk about how your day is like. You know, because many CEOs you talk to, they tell you have to be up by 3 a.m., go to the gym, read the newspaper. Is that the same thing with you?
No, I think 5 o'clock, 5:30 is
so it's
my
not
wake-up
3
time.
at least?
Yeah.
Okay.
So around 5-ish. And then, of course, read up a lot. I read up a lot. And these days with the mobile phones, you read a lot online.
So you go on your Twitter feed or something?
And that's the problem. That's the other problem. That's a distraction.
Is that the first thing you do when you wake up? Go first to your phone and check
Unfortunately, you want to see your messages and see what's happening there, but you want to see the news. But I
Yeah.
read books too.
Okay.
I love reading books. And I think I read at least an hour or two every day.
Every day?
Every single day.
Okay.
And read up on different things. So once you read up, you get, a wider knowledge. And thereafter, have breakfast. I arrange my meetings to be at 7 o'clock in the morning so that we beat traffic. We actually arrange all that stuff, do it in Nairobi, and then go to Thika.
Every single day you go to Thika?
I go to Thika every day, 5 days a week. And work in Thika and come back in the evenings. But I have a lot of other things because 50% of my time is spent on other items, like KEPSA and other things,
Right.
social stuff. I'm on universities. There's a lot of other extracurricular that I do.
Okay. Let's talk about, we've seen you, very, very vocal when it has come to election matters. We're heading to a period of elections. Right now, the stocks are not looking really, really good for us. I think we've dropped about 200 points. Are you worried as somebody who does business in Kenya? We have elections coming up in a few months. Are you worried that things, may go south?
I think there are two things right now. I'm not worried that something's going to go wrong. That doesn't worry me. I think the issue is what's worrying right now is the narrative. And Kenya is in such a unique position right now. We're in such a good place. And the narrative is all negative. And I think this needs to change.
When you say narrative, what does that mean?
The narrative right now, people think is just everything is corrupt. Corruption is it's big time, and we've got problems. And I ask people, how many bribes have you paid? Betty, let me ask you a question. In the last 1 week, how many bribes have you paid?
None at all, completely.
And I have not paid any too.
Right.
So the point is, the narrative is like everything is corrupt. And ask Kenyans, as many of your viewers as possible, how many of them have paid bribes? Yes, some have paid them, It's normally the police for speeding or whatever, or to get out of jail, somehow.
Or NTSA.
And get out of any problems.
When you're arrested for alcohol
And
or
the
something.
councils have a problem with the county councils, stuff like that. Water or something. Sometimes it's speed money. But the narrative is going negative, and I think that's wrong. Kenya in Africa today is in a very fantastic position. We've got investments coming in. People want to invest in our country, but we're just turning it all negative. And elections will come every 5 years. Why should we be scared of elections? What are we doing? We're choosing a new CEO for our country. So what does it matter? In terms of vision, in terms of alignment, we're all aligned in terms of progress. We want to create jobs. We want free and fair elections. We want to make sure it happens in a non-violent manner. And I think that's what every Kenyan wants. The question is, why the fear? Because the fear of 2007, 2008, when we had post-election violence. And I think that's important to address. And I think it comes back to every single leader to address that and say, sorry, I'm not going to be violent at all. I'm not going to be having any hate speech at all. And therefore, bring out credibility. We need to have accountability and transparency in leadership. We need to have everybody saying together that I want to be non-violent. And I think every single leader out there, whoever in government or out of government or candidate standing for any election, should actually say, I'm going to be peaceful. I'm going to make sure we're not be violent. If you have issues, bring them out as issues, but do not go back and say, I'll be violent and I'll hit people back.
All right. As we move on to you reading the news, how do you balance between work and family?
So 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, right? 1/3 family, 1/3 business, and 1/3 society and friends. Okay? And when you put that together...
So you do that perfectly, like 1/3, 1/3, 1/3? Most of us is probably 2/3
Unfortunately, with people like us, we have business takes a portion, but extracurricular stuff takes up a lot of time. We eat up into family time. And the point is, I have a very supportive family. I have a supportive wife, Manda, a supportive son who's he's finishing his school this year. And I have a very good family who says supporting all that I do outside.
All right.
So really you need to balance that out. But sometimes the balance gets descaled, it gets
Descaled.
off the scale.
All right, so let's move on to the news set.
Sure.
As you prepare to read the news. And the other thing is that, being in the public limelight, things can go south sometimes. And you have people who, saying all manner of things about you.
That's normal.
It's normal?
That's
so how do you
normal.
handle that? The smear campaigns online and everything?
I think it's important. The important thing is that you know who you are. Once you know who you are, once your conscience is clear, once you're doing the right thing, that's important. Knowing that is the solace, number one. Number two, make sure that all your people know about it. Smear campaigns will come to anybody who's successful. It is normal. And today, again, with social media and all that stuff, there's a lot of unsubstantiated negative news that comes out. Now, you don't want to react to every one of those stories because you then start having a fight online. And really, you're KTN, you have a responsibility, ni wajibu wetu.
Yeah.
So you have something that's responsible. But people on social media sometimes have no responsibility. They just blurt out and say things. You don't want to react to all that stuff. But once you know who you are, you don't worry about it.
You don't worry about it. All right, so keep the questions coming. I'm sure there are quite a number of them online already. So this is how we do this thing.
Okay.
Maybe I'll come to Bidco and you'll teach me how to run Bidco for a day or something, yeah?
Done.
So how we run things here is, first of all, you have to be very confident. So let me just see that. There we go. All right, next thing is that, you clear your voice. So you're supposed to do that off air.
Oh, sorry.
1 point off already. All right, so you look at camera 2, see it clearly?
Yes, I do.
All right, so you'll introduce yourself and then take it away and enjoy the moment.
Thanks a lot. Well, my name is Bimal Shah and I'm on KTN News. Yet another centenarian was marking a milestone as a 97-year-old granny joining other Kenyans to register as a voter at the Nakuru IEBC offices. Nyokabi Kamau has voted only once before in the year 2007. She was escorted to the registration center by her son James Gethe.
Leta mamangu hapa kwa hii kituo cha kuchukua kura kwa vile yeye mwenyewe ameinsist na akasema mara nyingi angependa kuwa katika mstari wa mbele wa kufanya kura za mwaka huu. Mwaka 2013 hakufanya kwa sababu hakuwa nasikia vizuri.
Mimi nakuja kuchukua sababu mimi najua hiyo kijana, mimi lazima mimi niende kuona hiyo kura, mimi lazima ngabeke kura.
96-year-old.
That's right.
Registering as a voter.
Absolutely.
So if anybody out there who hasn't registered as a voter, they should go and register, right?
I think every single Kenyan should register as a voter.
Right.
Exercise your rights.
You've registered?
I have.
Okay.
I've registered many years ago.
Just checking. All right, so I think let me rate you. Because I don't want to lose my job to you, I'll give you 6.5.
Okay, accepted.
6.5 because I think you were too much at an angle, not looking directly at the camera. So 6.5 out of 10. Not too bad.
We all learn, don't worry.
Okay, fine. So where do we go next?
I think let's take a break, and after the break, business news just follows.
Okay,
thank you.
Not too bad. You're doing really well. You want to get me fired for my job, yeah? All right, welcome back to Friday Briefing. So as the stock markets continue rebounding, analysts have come out indicating that Kenya is set to experience further volatility, I beg your pardon, as the country heads to the elections. Well, here's more.
Policies, shares, bonds, equities, all these are terms used on a day-to-day basis by businessmen. But do the common mwananchi really know what they mean?
I've heard of it, but I don't know.
Okay, what about bonds?
Bonds. Are you talking of bonds from flesh or which kind of bonds are you talking
Bonds, B-O-N-D-S.
Oh, bonds.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you know what bonds are?
There are different kind of bonds. Chemical bonds, family bonds, so many. So which one do you want?
Equities, what about equity?
Equities, yes.
Do you know what equities are?
Equities.
Yes.
Simply comes from the word equalizing and equities, yeah.
What about 20 share index?
20 share index. I've never heard of that. What is that?
I'm aware about Nairobi Stock Exchange.
Me, I know it starts with it begins with the national something. So the rest, I'm not well sure about.
Okay, I'm a financial advisor.
Do you know what NSE is?
NSE, you know, I've had it it's the first time to get that word.
I have no idea what NSE means.
What about bonds?
Bonds? I only know about the bonds in the local.
Equities, as in Equity Bank or equities.
Now remove the Y and add IES.
No, I don't know what is equities.
Well, earlier this week, Nairobi's Security Exchange launched its annual NSE Investment Challenge that has been used to educate people how to invest at the exchange. For the first time ever, the exercise is set to involve non-students. According to NSE Chief Executive Jeffrey Odundo, involving the wider public would increase enlightenment on the benefits of trading in the stocks. But how many Kenyans are aware of the NSE? Well, KTN's Ashley Mazuri went to the streets, like you mentioned, and saw that. And you've seen what Kenyans had to say in regards to that. All right, let's now move on. And Kenya is set to commission the construction of a new geothermal plant this year to boost power supply in the country. The Olkaria 5 power plant will have a generation capacity of 260 megawatts, expected to raise overall installed capacity in geothermal generation to 641 megawatts from the current 381 megawatts. On this week's edition of Transformers, KTN's Abi Agina looks at the impact geothermal power could have in lowering the cost of power in Kenya.
Kenya is considered to be the home to one of the largest geothermal power plants in the region. Geothermal power accounts for nearly 51% of the installed power capacity, displacing hydropower as the top energy source.
At Olkaria 5, we expect to get about 160 megawatts. At Olkaria 1, we expect to get about 70 to 80 megawatts. So as you can see, the two projects that we are putting up together, they should be able to give us close to 260 megawatts.
Talk of setting up Olkaria 5 to be located in Naivasha is in line with power utility firm Kengen's vision to meet rising power demand, which is pegged at about 5,000 megawatts by 2030 against a supply of 2,300 megawatts currently. The push to scale up power generation is hinged on lowering power costs in the country.
We are ready to provide steam to industries that use steam for their processes, and we'll also be able to provide electricity because many industries want reliable electricity. And when they are near where that electricity is generated, we will be able to provide that.
Geothermal power involves harnessing steam, which is an expensive undertaking as well. With the potential to generate about 10,000 megawatts from geothermal steam, the financial spend has been a key impediment towards Kenya fast-tracking the development of geothermal.
We require the support and the goodwill of the Olkaria community.
Additional generation from geothermal in 2014 saw Kenya cut power bills by nearly 30% after some 280 megawatts of steam power was fed to the grid. Although Kenya is the fourth largest producer of geothermal energy, high deployment costs remain a challenge to attracting local investors into the energy sector. For now, the government is banking on public-private partnerships to champion for investments in the energy front to make Kenya a key investment destination for manufacturers. Abi Agina, KTN Business.
Potato farming in Uasin Gishu County has received a major boost after the county government commissioned a potato chilling plant in Ainabkoi sub-county. Uasin Gishu Governor Jackson Mandago on Thursday presided over the commissioning of the facility, which was built through a partnership by the county government and investors from the Netherlands. Speaking during the event, Mandago said the facility will offer a solution to post-harvest losses that potato farmers have been incurring due to lack of storage facilities. Mandago said the plant was established as a result of the North Rift Economic Bloc Investment Conference, which was held in Eldoret 2 years ago. On his part, the project manager Remco Kruit from the Netherlands company said after the NORIB conference that they found Uasin Gishu favorable for investors.
We decided that we are going to build this chilling store so that when there is high production, farmers can store and release to the market in those off seasons when there's little potatoes in the market.
My company, Hans Staba, has been storing potatoes in the Netherlands for more than 40 years. So we took that experience and developed a concept especially for Africa. It's not just the first storage barn of Kenya, it's the first of this kind in Africa.
This is KTN News.
All right, and it's that time that we all love, time to learn some proper English pronunciations. Let me bring in Willis, the word master. You saw him earlier. Willis, it's great to see you this Friday night. How are you this evening?
Fine, thanks, Betty. How are you?
I'm fine, Willis. You know, a few minutes ago, I was reading this business story, and I could not, I was a bit confused if it's potato or potato. You know, apple, apple, tomato, tomato. So I said that that's going to be the first
Betty,
question.
we say potato.
Okay, potato.
But we have tomato. The problem is when we come to, you know, the word potato, it's just potato. But tomato, in American English, it's also tomato. So it can be a bit confusing, Betty.
Yeah, very. I was confused there for a moment. Okay, so first things first, Willis. Let's get straight to our word on the street now.
And hence. And hence. Appearance. Appearance.
Hii haisomeki tafadhali. Akia Mungu. Ni adherence ama ni nini? Watu wala hawajasoma bado.
Adherence, adherence, adherence.
Adherence, adherence, adherence.
Thank you so much. Adherence, adherence.
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 Adherence. Adherence.
Adherence. Adherence. Adherence.
Adherence. Adherence.
Adherence. Adherence.
Adherence. Adherence. Adherence.
Adherence. Adherence. Adherence.
Adherence. Adherence.
Appearance. Appearance.
Adherence. Adherence.
Sijui kama ni adherence ama adherence. Is it adherence or adherence? Adherence.
All right, Willis, you've heard there someone saying E-word haisomeki. All right, so talk to us about the correct pronunciation, Willis. I've had, maybe I know.
Kwa hivyo ni shida ya matamchi or matamshi, something like that.
Something
Jamaa
like-
ameenda kwa Kiswahili kidogo, eh?
Naelewa, Willis. So, adherence.
It happens, Betty.
Yeah. So, Willis, talk to us about that
We
one.
say adherence. Adherence. You
Adherence.
say adherence. We say adhere.
Okay.
And we have adherence and adherent.
Mhm.
But remember, in American English, adherence, you may also hear of adherence. Adherent. But we say adherence. You can also say adherence if you prefer the American English.
All right.
Adherence.
And it's to adhere. Is that correct, you said?
Yeah, to adhere, not adhere.
Yeah.
You may be hearing so much of adhere locally. That D and H, it's not a digraph like in the word dhambi, which is a Kiswahili word.
Yeah.
DH, we say or we pronounce the letters separately but closely. Adhere, adherence, and adherent. But we don't say adhere, adherence, or adherence, and adherent or adherent. We should avoid those, especially in careers of serious communication, Betty.
Okay, Willis. And I heard you saying especially or especially. Did I hear right?
Especially, you can also say especially. You know, we have what we call the nuances of pronunciation. You know, some of, the differences or the mistakes may be, very, minor, that it may not change the meaning. But in most cases, when you want to deliver the intended messages clearly or effectively, you should get it right in terms of the sounds in a word.
Sounds scientific, Willis, but, we take it. I've also heard you saying to deliver and not deliver. I'm learning a lot even as you talk, Willis. Deliver.
Deliver, no. Deliver. Deliver. Don't say deliver. Deliver. That is the short vowel sound E, or the pure one. Don't say li. Deliver. To deliver.
To deliver. Okay, Willis, got it. Moving on swiftly, Willis. So this word, it's a bit complex, but I'll try and say it. Do we say gingivitis? Gingivitis?
Yes. You say gingivitis.
Okay.
Gingivitis. That is that condition in which the gums around the teeth, they are swollen or they are painful and sometimes red in color. So we talk of gingivitis. The medics can tell us more about that.
All
but
right.
the pronunciation, gingivitis.
Gingivitis. Got it, Willis. Moving on to another word. Do we say disease or disease? You hear that one also, talking about illnesses. Disease, diseases.
Well, you say disease with the voiced sound z.
Okay.
Disease, ugonjwa. But when we talk about somebody who has died or that which has ended, now we have the CEASE, you say deceased. Deceased. The deceased person, not the diseased person.
Okay.
CEASE, cease. But when we have S, EASE, you say Z's. So disease, ugonjwa. But deceased person, a bit tricky, Betty.
Just a bit tricky, Willis. Let me spell out the next word. E-N-S-U-E and Sue and Sue. How do we say that one?
You say in or N. In Sue is American but acceptable, and ensue. You can say to ensue or ensue. You can also say to ensue and also ensue. So in and N are acceptable, Betty.
All right. I think I'm going to go with the ensue. Sounds a bit complicated, Willis. That's one word.
Ensue or ensue.
Okay. Okay, Willis, got it.
You can also say ensue and ensue. So those are alternatives, Betty.
Okay, Willis. Thank you for that. Moving on to this other word, and I'll spell it out. R-E-N-E-G-E. Renege. Renege. How do we...
renege. To renege. Renege. To renege on, this and that. Renege. It's a tricky one.
Wow.
You
So
know,
that has
today
caught me off guard.
the word seems to be tricky, but that is it.
Tonight, Willis, you're shocking me all the time. I mean, so you said renege? Is that what you said?
Renege. Renege.
And here I am thinking it's renege or renege or something like that. So it's renege.
It happens, Betty. I've always said nobody is perfect. So sometimes when we make some of these mistakes, we should not just, be like, oh, now, why should I be saying this? It happens.
It happens.
And it happens to all of us. Nobody is perfect.
I Willis, but you on the other hand, I'm not sure if I would say the same for you. Walking dictionary. Moving on to the next
No, it
word.
happens.
Yeah.
Not even Willis Betty can know everything in a language. Not even your mother tongue. Languages are too wide.
Okay, got it, Willis. At least I feel much better. Moving on to this other word, we see it a lot. M-E-M-E. You see this a lot on the internet, people creating this thing. Is it meme?
Betty,
meme?
that word, many people say memes. Memes.
Yeah.
Because of what we see.
Mhm.
And it becomes very, it's amusing to hear of memes.
Yeah.
Of course, the name meme is in, I think, Kamba, Kisi, and even Luo community. But
Really?
when we
Kamba.
talk of the word in English, we
Uh-huh.
say memes. Memes.
Memes.
Not memes. Not memes. Memes.
Okay.
Memes.
All right, Willis, got it.
Yes.
Moving on to the next word, juxtapose. Is that the correct pronunciation of this word, or is it at this?
That is
Okay, so it's not juxtapose.
no.
Okay.
The way you said it at the first one.
Okay.
Juxtapose. Then we say juxtaposition. Juxtaposition, not juxtaposition.
Okay.
Juxtaposition, no.
Okay.
Juxtaposition.
Juxtaposition. All right, moving on to this other word, purchase. Purchase, how do we say that?
Oh, that one we have the primary stress on the first syllable, that is per. Purchase, not purchase. 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 To purchase something. Just like we say bargain, bargain, not bargain. Bargain, to bargain.
To bargain.
Not bargain.
All right.
Purchase. Purchase. Not purchase.
Purchase. Got it, really. I always say bargain, so it's wrong. So it's bargain. Sounds much better. Yeah?
Bargain. But remember, in bargain, we have what we call the long, low front vowel sound But
Long,
we have
low.
In purchase.
Willis, you said long, low, front vowel.
I think that one we can leave it for a class, Betty. The long, low, front vowel sound just like in the word park, P-A-R-K, park.
All right.
But then we have now purchase. Purchase, it's, back. That is the mid-central sound
Okay. All right, Willis. I'm also learning how to explain it to other people when I meet them on the streets or friends. So it's the long, low,
I know.
front
We learn
vowel.
from one another, or when you are two,
Yeah.
you learn from each other, Betty.
Okay. All right, Willis. So today I've learned that long, low, front vowel. Okay. Moving on. Sounds so scientific. But anyway, Willis, let's move on to our feedback question. And then this one is also about that stress. Determine, you heard determine, a lot of that. So how do we go about that? That is from Tobias Karanja in Naivasha, asking that word.
Oh, Karanja Tobias.
Tobias.
Karanja
not
of
Tobias.
Naivasha, and our viewers, Tobias.
Tobias.
Betty, we always see Tobias, and locally, when you say Tobias, some people may ask you what? Betty, what are you saying?
I would ask you the same.
That is the pronunciation, that is the accurate pronunciation of that name, Tobias.
Tobias.
Karanja of Naivasha. You say determine. What we
Okay.
should avoid is determine.
Okay.
Then Jared Oundo, you say mentor, not mentor.
Okay.
A mentor.
A mentor.
We also say corridor, not corridor. Yeah, mentor. Yvonne Munyasia, you say schedule. Schedule of classes. But remember, schedule, we have schedule. Schedule is used in American English.
Okay.
But schedule, the British English, S, C, and H become what we call a trigraph. That is combination of 3 letters representing one sound. Schedule. Very locado, you say mutual. Mutual, not mutual. Mutual understanding, not mutual understanding, yes.
Mutual.
Jack Sido, you say engineer. Engineer, not engineer, which is used in Kiswahili. Engine, engineer. Engineering, not engineering. Vincent Rotich, you say favor. Favor, not favor. Leslie Humphrey, Paul Eddie Conchella, and Patricia Nekesa Wafula, we also say thank you for your good words about Friday briefing or mind your language. But then, Betty, we can now go to our surprise word for tonight.
All right, Willis, let's...
Betty, what do you see, my dear sister? What do you see?
I can spell it out.
What the eyes see. What your eyes see.
So it's C-R-O-C-H-E-T. That's what I see.
And you must have heard of crochet, Betty, if I'm not wrong. You must have heard many people saying crochet. Crochet. The word is crochet, crochet, or crochet.
Crochet.
You say crochet or crochet, not crochet. Some of these words can be very tricky. Just like what we call beret is beret or beret, not beret. So some of these words can be very tricky. Then we have 3 words, Betty.
Wait, Willis.
D-O-S-S. Okay.
You said beret?
Yes, what do you have, Betty?
Like you said beret, we say...
You don't say beret.
Oh.
What we see is beret. But the pronunciation is beret or beret. You can also say beret or beret. So that T
like
is
red
silent.
Beret.
You don't pronounce it.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you say red beret or red beret, not red berets. So
That's a surprise.
we have to be very careful sometimes when we are dealing with some of these words.
Got it.
Yes.
All right.
So now we have 3 words, Betty. D-O-S-S, we have D-O-S-E, and we have D-O-Z-E. So D-O-S-S, when we are talking about sleeping in a place which is uncomfortable and, maybe like on the floor, when you doze, you don't say to doze, it's doze, doze, D-O-S-S, doze.
Okay.
Then D-O-S-E,
surprise.
that is an amount of medicine, you say dose, dose. An amount of medicine, dose, dose. Then when we have D-O-Z-E, that is to sleep slightly and for a short time, you say to doze, doze. So, dose, dose, and doze.
Okay.
So, some of these words are very tricky, Betty, especially when you are in a career of serious communication. You may say dose when you mean dose. You may also say dose when you mean dose. And you remember, like when we were talking of the ICC, many people find themselves saying court, court. And you know, court is not mahakama. Court is C-O-T, like baby court. C-O-T. But when we talk about mahakama, Betty, we say court with that long sound O. O. But when we talk about what we wear, C-O-A-T, you say coat. Betty, we can go on and on and on, but from Kisumu, that is all about it.
That was mind your language overdrive. It was great. That has been really interesting, Willis. But my biggest surprise is red beret and not red berets. That's what we're used to hearing all the time. So thank you for that. Yeah?
It
the
happens,
mistake has
Betty.
been
It
corrected.
happens. As I always say, nobody's perfect. And for those who want to ask more, if it's not on Friday, and if you don't catch things on Friday briefing, you'll always get me on Twitter. That is at Willis Ochieng1.
Twitter and not Twitter, right, Willis? Not Twitter, but
No, Twitter, Twitter, Ndwera, Ndwira, all those things. You know, we have what we call, Betty, regional pronunciations.
Regional.
Because of certain maybe dialectal, factors, factors of dialect or maybe first language influence. We go to America or the northern part of America, like the Nevados, when you tell them to say better, they'll say better.
Better.
Say sweater, sweater. When you say Twitter, Twitter. Those ones are there. You can't avoid that, or they can't avoid that. But when we talk about the accurate sounds, T takes the sound T. And that is letter, sweater, Twitter, and all that. But that is not to underrate any other pronunciation, Betty.
True, Willis. I've had people saying Betty Kyalo, so it's Betty, yeah? All right, Willis, we could go on and on here.
It's Betty.
Not Betty. All right, thank you so much, Willis, the Word Master there, joining us live from Kisumu County. Like he mentioned, if you have any more questions for him, questions and not questions, you can tweet him directly at Willis Achengwan, and he's going to be able to answer all those questions that you have in regards to pronunciation. Keep it to pronunciations only. All right. So we want to take a break, but sports news is coming up shortly, so don't go away.
A very good evening and welcome to today's edition of KTN Sports. My name is Moses Wahisi. Today we start with matters to do with football, and remember yesterday the Football Kenya Federation president, and that is Nick Mwendo, said that the Sofapaka and also Moroni team are not going to take part in this year's edition of the Kenyan Premier League. But today the Sofapaka and Moroni leadership have said, you know what, we are here to stay and we are going to be taking part in the Kenyan Premier League season that is scheduled to start this February, from the date 11. Let's listen in what Abula actually gathered in regards to that debacle that has been growing so far.
Following Thursday's verdict by Football Kenya Federation that Sofapaka and Muhoroni have been relegated to the National Super League after failing to comply with the CAF club licensing requirements, officials from the two clubs held a joint press briefing stating that they will be competing in the KPL title come 11th February.
According to our understanding is that we knew automatically, having finished number 14 in the 2016 Kenya Premier League season, we qualified on sporting grounds, that is on the field of play.
Club license ni kitu mzuri ambayo itasaidia wachezaji, itasaidia wa Kenya, itasaidia soka. Lakini sio kitu ya kusema tutachukulia ni kama fimbo ya kutandikana. Hapana, tuko hapa juu ya kutengeneza soka, mpira.
On his side, Muhoroni chairman Moses Adagala maintains that the club has paid all its players to date.
The only club that have been giving the players loans, and everybody knows that in Moroni Youth we accommodate our players. They get everything that they want.
According to a letter released by KPL Vice Chairman Ambrose Rachier, the decision to demote the two clubs is null and void. The letter states that, and I quote, "This is to confirm that the above Kenyan Premier League clubs, Muhoroni Youth and Sofapaka, have not been relegated from the league and will continue to participate in the league during the 2017 season." End of quote. The Kenya Premier League fixtures are expected to be released next week ahead of the new season, and this is a clear indication that the KPL vs FKF war is far from over. Abula Ahmed, KTN Sports.
Now, as the KPL and the FKF fight over which club actually is going to be playing in this year's edition of the Kenyan Premier League, there's one team that is a happy side because the Football Kenya Federation President Nick Mwenda said that Vihiga United together with KCB have been promoted to this year's edition of the Kenyan Premier League. Vihiga United is saying, you know what, this is a blessing in disguise and we are ready to dance against the big wigs.
It's the news that has caught Vihiga County by surprise, and the players, well, celebrations are still palpable on their faces. While the team had Kenya Premier League ambitions when the side was formed in 2014, their rise to the top-tier league has been fairy tale of sorts.
That was the greatest news that for 2017, though a surprise.
The side understands how competitive the top-tier league is and is now working on their mental strength to adapt to the rigors that come with being on the top flight football.
We agreed that we have to change our mindset
and start thinking differently from the way we were thinking about playing in the lower tier. Today we have even called a full executive meeting to map out the way forward from this discussion.
The side is not overly ambitious. The objective is simple: to remain afloat come the end of the season.
We'll talk to my executive committee and all the people, all the stakeholders, to understand the importance of letting the team grow.
Matarajio yetu hawezi kuwa makubwa vile, hatuwezi sema ati sasa juu tumekuwa promoted tunaenda kushinda Kenyan Premier League. Yetu itakuwa ni kwanza kujaribu ku-maintain kwa league.
The side becomes the first top-tier league team to be sponsored by the county government.
This financial year, there is a budgetary allocation for the same.
And as news of their promotion continues to sink in, their work has been cut out, and they are getting down to hard work. Hassan Juma, KTN Sports.
Yes, they're getting down to hard work, but it won't be an easy affair for them. Now, just talking about how easy or hard it is going to be for different teams, matters to do with rugby. The rugby menu is going to be action-packed this weekend, with KCB, who are going to be playing against Blackbird, just trying to go and maintaining the 100% winning record. Talking about international rugby, Sydney 7 is going to spice this rugby menu, while the Kenyan team is expected to star against a very, very charged Pool A side in Sydney. And that's it in our today's edition of KTN Sports. My name is Moses Wahisi. Have a lovely night.
All right, so it's time for us to wind up the show here on Friday Briefing. We thank you so much for watching. But before we do that, let's have a reminder of our big question this evening. We were asking you tonight, is Jubilee justified in attacking IEBC over the BVR kits? That was our big question this evening. And we have a poll. 30% say yes, they are justified in attacking IEBC over the BVR kits. And as you can see there, 70% of you say no. Jubilee is not justified in attacking IEBC on the BVR kits. So that is our Twitter poll. Big question tonight. Thank you so much for all your comments. We appreciate them. So before we wind up, let's just finish up things with Vimal Shah. He was my guest anchor this evening. Some of you say that he did a good job in anchoring. I still hold my 6.5 out of 10. All right, so as we wind up, let's talk about entrepreneurship in the youth, because you're very big on that. What are you doing in regards to giving back? Willis, the word master, talked about mentorship. What are you doing in your capacity right now?
I think mentoring for a lot of our youth is important right now. And it's that phase where they're starting off. They have an idea and they want to do something. And that's the time they need mentoring.
Right.
And I think that mentoring is important. So I actually do a lot of that to a lot of our youth. I think our youth are excellent. They really have passion. They really want to do a lot more stuff. And they're very entrepreneurial. However, somehow we're not sometimes giving them the real oxygen that they need to really become better entrepreneurs.
All right.
But I'd say one thing: anybody who's graduated, anybody who thinks he studied, should not be looking for jobs. They should be actually creating jobs. And I think creating jobs is going to be the in thing. Start with one, start with two, and then you really start doing a lot more. And entrepreneurship, I think, it's probably in Kenyans' DNA.
It is in Kenya's DNA. Thank you so much, Vimal. It has been an amazing time hosting you here on Friday Briefing. Looking forward to having you again, maybe to read the news on a permanent basis. I don't know. And thank you for watching. It has been an amazing 1.5 hours. We thank you for watching Friday Briefing. Have a lovely weekend. Be safe. Don't do crazy things, like I always say. My name is Betty Kyalo. And you are?
Vimal Shah. Thank you.
All right.
Good
Thank
night.
you so much, and good night. Good night.